Hello and welcome to the Vision-Led Leadership Podcast. Welcome back. This is your host, Erin Fugate, and I am so happy to be sharing space with you today. I bring you an exceptional guest. I have a feeling today's episode is going to be so good. So if you're new to the pod, we talk about everything mindset, healing your trauma, starting your business, being a vision-led entrepreneur, and everything that comes along with that. So whether you are brand new to the entrepreneurial space or you are a long-time business owner, I know that you're going to find nuggets of wisdom in this episode. If you've been listening, please leave me a review and go hit that 5-star rating on Apple. If you're on Spotify, it's really easy. You just hit the 5 stars. I would so appreciate it. And if you think of someone as you're listening to this episode, please take a screenshot, share it on social media, tag me. I'm on Instagram, Jasmine and Juniper Living, or Erin Fugate over on Facebook. I would love to chat with you in the DMs. Okay, so today we are talking to Dr. Lauren Pichard. She is a psychologist in the state of California and a Master Energy Alchemist globally. She is the founder of Ascension Psychology in San Diego, California, and a unique psychological approach that blends traditional psychology with integrative, shamanic, and energy healing methods, including ancestral healing, childhood healing, and healing past lives. Most of the work is focused on healing the subconscious. I'm so excited to talk to you. This is right up my alley, everything I love. So welcome to the pod, Dr. Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, we're going to dive into some goodness today. I know it. You're probably going to want to go back and listen to this episode a few times. So we always do icebreaker questions at the beginning so we can just get to know each other in a really authentic way. And my first question is, do you have a hype song? So you have to go on stage, you have to get on a podcast. Maybe your energy isn't exactly where you want it to be. What music totally lights you up?
Okay, so I don't know if I have a hype song, but one of my favorite songs that I feel is like the brand of a psychologist songs is Bob Marley's song about mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind, right? And so I just like the lessons that it gives to people. I mean, I like kind of like oldies music. Like last night I was cooking with my 10-year-old daughter and we were like listening to Aretha Franklin and Respect, and it makes me think of my grandmother because she loved that song. So there's like fun songs like that I like, but the Bob Marley, None But Ourselves Can Free Our Mind, I like want to post him everywhere on my website. I haven't yet. I don't know what the copyright laws are on that and stuff, but
yeah, he is amazing. So I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and we have a little book, and it's about the Bob Marley song One Love. And
cool.
I just love the conversations that come up with my kids when we talk about Bob Marley. They understand his life and what he stood for. And most recently, there's been a lot of conversation about like, what are dreadlocks and what are Rastafarians? And he's such a gift to our world, and his music lights me up.
It's really spiritual, the high vibration music, and not all music out there is. And so to surround ourselves with high vibration music is healing, and it helps us with our mindset for sure.
Yeah, it's really important. It's really important. I remember when I was trying to change my life and I learned about the subconscious mind, I realized that everything I listened to music-wise was programming my mind. And at that time, I really loved like really sad music, right? And I changed what I listened to, and I think it absolutely helped me.
Yeah, the environment is a big piece. Are you familiar with Dr. Emoto's work?
Yes.
So he's the one that talks about the vibration of water, and it looks under molecules, and if it's beauty, it like glistens, and if it's like hate, it's ugly and twisted. And I know that you're in recovery, but I think people don't think about how to transfer that over enough, right? So if there's a wine, right, that says like Old Dirty Bastard or something, right, and a lot of dark horse, like, no, I want to be with a white horse. You know what I mean? So that's all programming the energy frequency that people are taking into their bodies. So not advocating drinking, but, and I don't drink that much at all, like maybe 1 or 2 glasses of wine a year, but rare earth, just for, they sell it at Trader Joe's. It's just a higher vibration if people are going to go in that direction, but to be so careful, even if like they're lying about it being organic, but it says it's organic on the label of anything, it's healthier than when it says like artificially flavored, right?
Yeah, that's such a good point to really pay attention to the words on our food and our drinks.
The wine and the beer has a lot of negative programming on it.
Oh, wow. I have never noticed that before. And now I'm going to see it everywhere.
It's wild. It's actually, I mean, we could do like a podcast just on that, like showing the labels. Like, do you really want to be this frequency inside? I sure don't.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. That was a great answer to that question. The second question is your favorite snack food. What do you love to munch on when you just need a snack?
Well, this is not, I definitely do not recommend this to everybody, but honestly, my favorite snack food is peppermint bark. Love it. This is my favorite season of the year. Everything peppermint bark. We even got like peppermint hand soap the other day, and my daughter was all excited. But probably like, and I guess if we were going to do healthy, Honeycrisp apples, I think are the absolute best apples.
You don't have to be healthy. This is that like, what's that snack attack? I have so many that I love, but currently mine is a rice cake with organic peanut butter and local raw honey over the top.
Yeah,
that is
that, but I love
so yummy. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is, you sit down for tea or coffee with anyone alive or already passed away, who would you choose?
Okay, I want to get to the bottom of every single rumor out there. Hands down, Jesus.
Nice. That would be a great conversation.
They say you're a druid. They say you're a Kriya yogi. They say all this stuff. And what is this Bible? Everyone interprets it differently. What's real about these rumors?
Have you heard the one that Jesus is actually a psychedelic mushroom?
No, I have
not.
Ooh,
I just added one to yours. Yes.
I have not.
So the concept is that there was a sacrament that people would drink, and it was actually psilocybin. And of course, it would give them visions and everything. And that's who Jesus actually is.
Interesting. So my best friend right now just landed in Peru, and he's on his way literally on the bus right now to a retreat center. And he's going to work with the tree Noya Roa. Are you familiar with that one?
I haven't heard of that. No.
So it's called the Tree of Light. And to the Peruvians down there that are using the traditional spiritual healing, the Tree of Light is the second highest frequency, like the only frequency higher than it is God.
Wow.
Right. So I wonder.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'm a big lover of plants, essential oils. That's my business. And I feel like they're like, so in recovery, you have to figure out who your higher power is, which is really hard for me. The closest thing I can come is like fucking nature. Oh my God. Like, look at nature. And then you put in these plant medicines that have the ability to heal us. That's where I'm like brought to my knees by the beauty of the gifts of the earth that are around us.
Totally. I mean, I know we were going to talk about finances, but we could always go into the higher power. I don't know if you know, but I worked at the Betty Ford Center with people in recovery. I did my internship there. And so lots of times people that are struggling there, I give them the first spiritual experience that they've had to open them up, right? Because if we're too much in our ego and in society and working, and maybe our family wasn't spiritual growing up and we don't have any experience, it makes it even harder to connect. So, and yeah, nature is a big one.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I grew up in a religious cult that was abusive. So I have this feeling like God abandoned me. And my God turned out to either be extremely dysfunctional or not real. So it's like I have to go find another God, and it's such a confusing process. But absolutely, this conversation can go.
Yeah, do you want to go in? Do you want to go into that more? Because one of the interesting things about our mind and our idea of spirituality and God is our parents are our first interpretation of God. They are our higher power when we're growing up. And so if they're dysfunctional, we internalize God as being dysfunctional, right? So it's about changing that inner picture to what is God really, because it is not our dysfunctional parents, and what is spirituality really, because it's not what man created most of the time, because it's a lot of unenlightened men and women, but humankind, people creating religion that haven't done any shadow work, that don't know that, you know, their mind is 80% being created by the unconscious. And so their interpretations of everything are wrong, you know? And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think the part that gets really confusing for me, and I've had some realizations as of late, fix things in your life. And I just can't imagine that there's this being out there that's like, yeah, you get fixed and you don't. Yeah. So I'm trying to rewrite that. Like, what am I praying to this higher power for? And what are they really there for to do for me?
Yeah. So was the cult that you were raised in a Christian cult, or?
They were kind of a mishmash, a lot of Hindu and yogic, like neo-spirituality.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, which is sometimes inverted spirituality and literally kind of dark. But dark forces have kind of infiltrated the planet. I don't know. I mean, you're probably a pretty spiritual person on the recovery path, but yeah, imperfect people are leading these things, and that gets us in trouble for sure.
Right. Yeah. And there's people searching. I mean, people desperately want to feel connected to a community and a purpose. And whatever that thing is, what I kind of think about is, before we were born, we were one with the universe. Mm-hmm. And then we come into our mom's body, and it's a traumatic experience coming out. And suddenly you're hit with air and feelings and sensations. And it's like this separation from the divine. And in a perfect world, your mother would be the divine for you. But the patriarchy is completely messed up what it is to be sacred feminine. So then you're like thrown into this world craving that connection with the divine. And if somebody comes along and paints you a picture of like, I can give it to you, here it is, that's hard to resist.
Yeah, so I agree with you. And I actually just had a big learning experience. It's not necessarily the right learning experience, but if we're going to talk about, let's say, Jesus, because I've been hanging out a lot. My sister's become very Christian and I'm very not super Christian, but Jesus, a lot of people interpret it as he was Christ consciousness. And so he said, I am the way, because he was the embodiment of the highest vibration on the planet, right? But when people are like, come save me, they're giving away their power, right? Because we have to save ourselves. Does the Bible even say, or I don't know, the saying, God helps those that help themselves, right? So it's about helping ourselves. Now, I have gotten, my sister, I've studied all kinds of shamanism, like the bio says, and all kinds of energy healing, and I can look and move things around myself, but sometimes I like to do just kind of fast commands. And so there is, Christian mysticism that heals in the name of Jesus Christ, and it's very powerful. I've seen cancer disappear with it, the whole thing. When my dog was sick, I was doing that. God, I connect with you. I heal this in the name of Jesus for my dog. And actually, it was really a wild experience, because I had all these prayers going up and I didn't realize how much energy I was putting up until I felt energy come back down. And the energy that came back down said, you will have a few more years with her. And at the same time, I had the thought, oh, that was God. Right? So super spiritual experience. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to work as hard on healing my dog anymore, because I just heard from God. And so I cut it back probably 90% from my intense spiritual warrior shifting this energy stuff. And it was a demon that came in on the prayers to Jesus, because my dog died.
Wow.
Right. And so again, it was that lesson of not giving my power away,
Yeah.
right? Not giving it away. God is inside of me.
Yeah, this is so interesting because that actually was the main philosophy of the spiritual community I grew up in, was I am God.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the core, it was this thing that still rings really true for me. But then the people and the spirit, because the woman who ran it was a channel, so brought in a spirit. And I really think like this very pure message, I am God, gets totally used and abused by other spirits, by people in the human form. And yeah, okay, I see where we're going with this episode. Okay. Everyone, we're reining it in. We're going to talk to you about something really important right now. So as a spiritual being, which I know a lot of people listening are, and you're working with the public, whatever your business is, you're a psychologist. I teach people about essential oils. We might have a dog walker or a graphic designer. You're working with people. And I know that when I go to work with people, I have to do a lot of psychic protection practices to keep my energy clear. And at the same time, use my empathic gifts so I can read their body and know what's going on. So what do you recommend? I mean, you work with people in a really
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
How do you
I mean, so my friend who's in Peru was just in Sorcerer's Alley, and some of the stuff in Sorcerer's Alley is really dark, like controls people with like this powder, like dark stuff. And he's like, so this morning, he's like, I have a headache. And I was like, I'll take a look for you. And it's like, I see redness on the left side of your body. And he's like, I think I know who did it to me. The sorcerer touched him a couple times and he didn't buy from him. And he has a headache and the energy is still flowing through his body and he has aches and pains on his way over here. And I was like, that's why I don't go to New Orleans, because, all kinds of stuff. And I find myself like, we can go into spiritual warfare too, because I like gave him all these tricks on like, I'd go back in the timeline to yesterday and I'd blast him with light because don't mess with me, right? I'll give you your evil, a quick lesson in humility kind of a thing. But there are so many techniques to heal and protect and shield. So sometimes, let me see if I have my I have a big black obsidian stone right here. And so these, every soul, every rock and stone is a soul, right? When we're all one and everything is a part of God, this is a part of God. It's a certain frequency, but in shamanism, I can journey to this stone and I can meet it and I can talk to its soul and see what it wants to say. But I can also just say, hey, I know that you're of this type, like, can you protect me and shield me? So I'll actually keep this at my feet, oftentimes in sessions. I'll sometimes put a barrier between me and people, right? There's the protective bubble. There's a meditation of a 12D shield that we can even.
And you mean a like energetic barrier, or
an energetic barrier. Yeah. So this is going to create an energetic barrier too, right? Because, if the universe is made of energy and it's all consciousness, right? God created it by just willing it to be so. He is strong will and he just willed it into creation with his intention. So this is, vibrating at a denser frequency, but it's still energy, right? So this is even, changing the frequency of me by holding it because I'm interacting with it. But yeah, visualization, because the universe is consciousness. Consciousness is our strongest medicine. You just intend on having a shield around you, and there's a shield around you. But a lot of people don't know how to get the energy out of their system. Because that's probably my like weakest thing, but most important is because when you're a certain vibration and you're just light, you don't have to shield anymore. And so if energy comes into your space, it's attaching to something in your subconscious that is a matching frequency to it. Right. So if we want to go really spiritual theory, we have 4 bodies: our spiritual body, our mental body, our emotional body, and our physical body. Our emotional body is made out of water, right? Because the 5 elements make up everything. So our emotional body is made out of water. Water molecules attract water molecules. So if I have anger inside of me and I walk into a mosh pit, I might be like, right? Because all that energy attaches to that anger.
Wow.
So it also just shows you like, okay, I need to go heal something for myself so that it can't attach again.
Yeah. So that is a good point. Like if you're noticing that you're walking out of sessions and you're always having a headache or you're always having a stomach ache, would it be a clue to you that there's some work that you personally need to do so it doesn't attach there?
Always. So, and we're in a holographic reality. So every time I heal somebody, I'm also healing myself, because the unconscious mind doesn't understand separation, even though our egoic mind does. Right. So it exists somewhere. If it's in me or in my ancestry, it's just kind of untangling out of the matrix. The other thing, sometimes there could also just be a hole in our aura, a hole, a tear, a rip, right, from past trauma. And so just using imagery again, you can kind of seal it with just imagery by just bringing light down. In India, they use holy basil, which is tulsi tea, and you can just sip tea, right?
And I have that as an essential oil, actually.
Oh,
and
nice.
It's
so
so
that
sacred when I use it. Yeah, but I didn't know I could use it that way. That's a great tip.
Yeah, there's lots of, I like Bach flowers. Are you familiar with Bach flowers?
Yeah.
Because that'll get the energy frequency out too. So yeah, visualization, salt baths, going out in the ocean, standing in a thunderstorm, or the ions are negatively charged, whatever, all those are good things.
What I'm hearing you say is, and I love this because I totally agree, it's more the intention. Like waking up and before you go see your clients, set the intention to maybe clear yourself and become receptive. And then after each client or at the end of each day, do something, whether it's as simple as taking a shower is what I'm hearing. Or
yeah, I mean, when we did, we kind of were using these symbols, right? If everything is sound and vibration, sometimes I'll just run this over my body to get anything that's an impure sound, which could be a negative entity or, yucky, disharmonious energy out.
Yeah, I need to commit to this more. So here's a little example of something that happened the other day. My husband's a realtor, and he found this really interesting, very old house. And we went to look at it. And when we opened the door and walked inside, I was immediately hit with like, I'm not supposed to be here. And so we got out pretty fast. We walked around the property a little bit. And for the whole day, through that night, it was like the house was still with me. And I don't even know if I've completely gotten rid of it.
Yeah, so you're talking about cord cutting.
I see, yeah.
So yes, that's so important too, because when we're in relationship with anything, you want to cut the cords. So, and that's where even like medical providers, or you're even saying real estate agents need it, right? Because if you're giving to someone and you don't cut that cord, they're going to give back to you later on because you're still in an energetic connection with them. So definitely cut cords, definitely just visualize leaving that energy in that space. Right.
I'm in right now. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go house.
Totally. But it's so interesting because if we look at it from a shamanic perspective, as above, so below, as within, so without. So it makes me wonder what part of the house is haunted. Right. So I don't know, does that bring anything up for you? Like the part of my house that needs an energy clearing.
This house that I went to look at, or are you saying it's connected to my house?
I'm saying your body is a temple. I'm saying everything is a dream. And in a dream, everything is representation of us. So daytime life is a dream, just like nighttime life is. So if everything's a hologram, why is this showing up in your reality?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is exactly this, having this conversation, having this remembrance for myself, that just because I grew up in this spiritual commune and it had pain involved and there was abuse, doesn't mean that I should throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because what you're telling me, I know I was raised with these concepts, but I came to a point where I was like, that's bullshit. I'm like, there's no such thing as God. Crystals can't do anything. Totally. And I like shut it all off. And I actually am extremely psychic, sensitive tuned in person, and I have to find a way to walk both paths.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I
so
agree.
it's
And
just
I turned it down too, you know, before, and or went more just spiritual, and Yogananda kind of brought me back to the teachings of Jesus. So it's, you know, kind of like a 360. And I think that that's part of the journey for sure. But yeah,
I
so
think
it could be the
hard for-
hauntedness of childhood. It could be, I think it might be something ancestral is kind of what I pick up when you say that.
Yeah, well, I definitely, I'm very connected to wise women. Like I've had past life memories. I have one. Is it okay if I tell you about it? Maybe
Yeah,
we
please.
dig into it. So I have this, I don't know if it's past life or it's alternate reality or what, but I am in a hut in the middle deep forest of somewhere European, in a deep, deep, dark forest. And I'm with 5 or 6 other women, and we are doing some kind of ritual, some kind of ceremony. And the room is spinning, 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 like we fully opened up the gates of magic. And one of the women there does something dark. And we've been connected that whole time. And I feel almost like I'm constantly trying to either heal that circle, or complete it, or something. So that's kind of the memory that comes up.
That's cool. Okay. Yeah. And so, right. Or if it's a metaphor, because those are the images that your mind, you know, there's so many, you know, is it, yeah. Anyway. Okay. So if that woman also represents an aspect of you, do you want to, like, are you intuitive enough for me to put you on the spot right now?
Yeah, please.
Are you in pants? Can you stand up? We're on a Zoom call. Bottoms on. Okay, perfect. So can you stand? Yeah, like kind of 6 feet back. And when you stand in this position, I want you to feel into the energy of this woman. So just try to embody her. And so I'm actually kind of seeing the circle come back around you, how you see it. And so we're going into a bit of a family constellation healing right now is what we're doing, which can transcend all space-time dimension, depending on who the facilitator is. And as you tap into this woman's energy, what do you notice about it?
Heart is beating really fast.
Because you're afraid of her, or it's her energy that's beating
her
fast?
energy, like
Okay.
Anxious. I don't sense that she's bad or evil, but she's maybe manic.
Okay. And so if you, does a name come up, or is there anything that you want to call her while we work with her?
We'll call her Ruth.
Ruth. Okay. So if you come back, and you might want to do a spot that's on you, but you come back to be you, but in this other time and space. Yeah, shake it off. You might want to give yourselves a little bit more space in between you, and then look at her, because like just kind of go back into that circle that you're in and look at her. And what did you want to say to her in this memory that you didn't get to say?
I'm sorry. We'll take care of you. We didn't know. You shouldn't have to shoulder all of that. And I kind of see her become like a baby. Maybe we thought she was like a leader or a wise person, but she's actually an infant that needs to be cared for.
So interesting. You're kind of giving me chills. Yeah, you're getting chills too, because here I thought you were going to say, like, I don't consent to this. Like, what are you doing? I don't want, but you're actually seeing that she was just needing more love and support.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I'm seeing is that maybe she had a mental breakdown.
Oh, was she channeling something dark? Did something dark come in with her that took advantage?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. And so we've held all this anger at her, like she did something wrong, but I'm seeing just the mental illness.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. So I work a lot with Paramhansa Yogananda, who has the Self-Realization Fellowship and brings Kriya Yoga as a way to enlightenment. And he calls planet Earth an insane asylum.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? I was just thinking about this the other day. We have medication that allows people to pretty much function, even with intense mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this imagery come to me like, what if all of a sudden we didn't have that medication? Like it's a funny and scary and whoa, just this like, whoa, we have so many people walking around.
So the good news is that it's really easy to heal these things that people think are chronic. Really easy, right? Like people have these chronic thoughts like, oh, I want to kill myself or whatever it is. But it's actually just one little energy that when you heal it and resolve it, it's not there anymore. Now, did you feel complete? Because I feel like the theme for you with that woman, I feel like you brought it into your childhood where you're then, it was like kind of magnified because energy that's incomplete kind of keeps snowballing until we complete it. And then there it is in the haunted house, like going back into that like haunted space to resolve it. So I feel like it's really been a theme for you. Does it feel complete by giving her love? Because love does heal a lot. Or do you need something else? Because it might be nice to just close the door and complete this chapter,
Let's see. What I need is to somehow express that to the rest of the women in that circle.
Yeah, because we want to complete the whole thing, right? Do you want to keep working with it now? So you don't have to get up again. You can just do it in your mind. But sometimes I like people to experience that you feel different when you have the intention to stand in a different space. It's very visceral. You went back into, who knows, the 1300s or whatever, right? And
I'm traveling on the podcast. This is
yes, yes. So yeah, if you go back into your mind and just go back into that time and space and you stand there and it's like, gosh, I didn't know that you needed help. And then you say to the other woman, look, our sister needs help. And then just what do you see happens next?
I see everyone gathering around her and holding her, grieving, not being sure what to do.
Okay, well, we know what to do because we're doing multidimensional healing of the ancestors or whatever we're doing right now, right? So go ahead, and since you still have a magic portal open, just go ahead and tell them we're going to amplify the love and the light that's coming through the portal and coming through our hearts. And go ahead and first fill yourselves with it. And when you are completely encased in it and it's the 2 feet around you in your aura, go ahead and extend it to each other in the group. And in this space that you're in. And then you guys are going to just Care Bear stare this wounded sister. And so all of the shadow that's in her is going to completely dissolve into the light. Her aura is going to be sealed, every single cell inside of her body. And her mind is going to be blasted with the light. So there can't be any kind of cobwebs or hidden dark spots that can be taken advantage of inside of her. And notice how she starts to change as she's healed, how her heart rate starts to calm down. She feels safer, more secure. The expression on her face becomes more relaxed. And notice how supporting each other brought more love and a deeper trust and connection to your sisterhood. And if you want to even go bigger, you can notice how that ripples through the universe.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask, was how does this affect her in the future?
Her children, her ancestors, the grid of the matrix is filled with light instead of with darkness. It's easier to get out. It affects everything, right? It ripples through all space, time, and dimension, not just this lifetime of yours, but all of them. And so notice how when you now also have more of a template of trust, right? How it's safer for you because you have sisters that are now more aware. There's more wisdom in the sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice anything else? Does anything else need to be attended to?
No, I think that's great. I saw like everybody kind of explode into white light, even the building and the whole circle. And then, yeah, I just really was focused on her lineage and what that might be doing for the whole lineage.
And for yours, because you're coming with the cleaner space now too, because I don't know what she had channeled and brought in that space, but you know, if you've been carrying it with you and you wind up in this cult where everyone's still a little bit twisted because it's such a core wound for you that needs to be resolved, right? I mean,
like, yeah, like my soul was recreating that.
Yeah, like let's address it, right? And
yeah.
Wild. So now, so now you get to bring goodness. There isn't a haunting, around that needs to be addressed that you're like, oh, I don't even want to go there, right? Because there's even.
Yeah, well, it's so true. That's something that comes up for me is I don't want to be too inspirational or too charismatic because I haven't wanted to get back into that place where that power could be misused or this thing could happen among a circle. And so I really, I've been working on it for so long, but it's almost like I keep my light just dim enough. Because if I turn my light fully on, then what if I just go recreate it all over again?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of us have been on this energy healing path. When your light is really bright, you get darker challenges, right? Because darker forces kind of, are like, we don't want her to shine too brightly. So there's even like a wisdom there if you don't feel like, but at a certain level, you're completely unstoppable.
Yeah.
Right. Because the light, right? What gets rid of shadow? Light.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The light workers. I looked at this because I was always like, why is there evil? Like, why does evil exist? Why is there suffering? It doesn't make sense. Right. And so I looked at it one day because I got tired of asking the question. I thought I should solve the problem. And so what I saw was that, light workers, we come into the darkness and the universe is constantly expanding. And so is God or consciousness, whatever word we want to use for the energy of all source. It's constantly expanding, but the darkness tries to push against the light. It hides in crevices and it pushes against it. So the darkness is kind of expanding. And then when the light workers go in and shine light on the darkness, we're literally expanding God and expanding consciousness. So we are like the darkest planet is what some people say, because there's a lot of suffering here.
Yeah. And that's why we need people like you and me and many of you who are listening. I have a lot of people in my community who are either recognize that they're on the light worker path or they're waking up to it. So if someone is listening and they want to work with you, is this kind of an example of what some of your sessions would be like, or what is it like to work with you?
I've studied so many different things. It is a sample of one of the techniques that I have, but I am very intuitive. Sometimes new techniques just come to me. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I had that, which is actually kind of like the most fun for me. But yes, so that is kind of spatial clairvoyance, what we just did. So people's intuition often gets deeper with me. They learn to trust their own intuition more. If people aren't sure, it's like the more veils we have on us, the darker it is to see in our mind, right? So the more we heal, the deeper our intuition gets. So I can also look at a space and kind of see for people if they feel blocked. And I can, because we're all one, I can just move it in my mind and people get shifts because we're in the same field together during a session, right? So it totally depends, but I can play with frequencies, I can do extractions, all kinds of things. And, with your woman, you're in this memory, if she was channeling something dark, just filling up with light and healing whatever the wound was with the light, whatever was attached to her has to also leave. Right. So, but sometimes if there's an entity can attach to a lot of trauma. So sometimes I remove the entity to create ease for people and seal it with light so that it can't come in. But there might still be like some thoughts here and there, but not as deep. But at least, there's kind of more relaxation after.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good. So
there's
good.
There's a lot.
I'm excited to be connected with you. I feel really grateful to know you and be swimming in the same circle now. And for my audience listening, please go to the show notes. You can connect with Dr. Lauren at ascensionpsychology.com. She has many beautiful freebies there, and she is on Facebook, facebook.com/ascension psychology. I'm putting her phone number and her email address so you can connect with her. I have a feeling that you're listening to this because you needed to connect with Dr. Lauren. And so please follow that if that's your intuition and reach out to her. Just that little session that we did today I feel different. Like I'm looking at myself on the camera right now and I feel different.
I feel you create more light for everybody that was participating. You held space and you did a lot of work for everybody, which is awesome. And I had so much fun being here, and it was our first time getting to connect, and it was so easy peasy.
Yes. And we're going to have you back because I do want to talk about
the financial stuff.
The financial blocks, but we probably had to clear that first. So
yeah. And I do have a series of healings on the Ascension Psychology audio energy healings that go through time and space. People kind of just got a demonstration of how that works. And it's like 3 hours of healing, and it's just hammering stuff out to help people get more ease and abundance.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I appreciate it, and I'm honored to put you on the podcast. For all the listeners, again, if you were listening and somebody popped into your mind, please follow that little hit, screen share this, send them a link, spread the word out. My mission is to grow a community of vision-led entrepreneurs that want to find optimal wellness and next level leadership. So coming into the space and connecting with people who are on a similar path is only going to lift you higher and help you get there. And don't forget, 5-star rating, give me a review. Let's get the word out to more people. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. It was so fun.